Hello. Happy New Year, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're in the world. And welcome to the third onboarding session for Unify. I'm glad to welcome you all as members here at Unify. And today it's me, Susmita Mishra from Nepal. And I will be your moderator for the day, and I will be accompanied by my colleague Davila later on as a presenter, and backstage I have we are being assisted by Prakash Lama for the technical support. So I hope you're all having a great day, and I hope you had a wonderful new year. So let's begin with your mood right now, how you're feeling. So drop your expression in the chat if you're watching us live from Facebook or YouTube. Drop it in the chat if you're how you're feeling today, and if you're feeling happy or sad, or you're feeling lazy after a long holiday, or you're still hungry because you haven't had your lunch until now. Okay, I see the comments coming in. Hello. Okay, see, I can see excited. And yeah, so hello, we have Chris from Chad right here who is live with us. And okay, so keep the comments coming. I can see a few of you are watching us from YouTube, and a few from oh, I see someone is here from Nepal as well. So keep the comments coming in. I see. Okay, I can see most of you are feeling excited and great. Oh, that's amazing to know. So, okay. Oh, someone's feeling bad but just hungry. Okay. And I can see. Okay, there are more comments coming in, and we are being joined by our members from Nigeria, India, France, from all over the world, and it's good to have you all here. And I think okay, so most of you are feeling excited right now for the onboarding session, I believe, after New Year. And okay, I can see a lot of expression number 8 right in the chat. So let's move on with our onboarding session for today. So before I hand over to my colleague Davila, so you can see, please let me know what is the word that comes in your mind when you hear the word youth. You can either scan this QR code on the screen, or my colleagues will be dropping links to the Mentimeter in the chat, so you can go ahead. So the Mentimeter link is in the chat already, so keep your comments coming in. What word comes to your mind when you hear the word youth? Does it mean energy, or for me, if I have to be particular, for me, whenever I hear youth, it's about energy, the power, the lively feeling that we have. So keep your comments coming in. Okay, I can see strength, obviously. Youth, the change makers. Yes, innovation, I can see in the chat. If you cannot access the Mentimeter, you can also drop your comments in the chat so I can read it out for everybody. So yeah, creativity, obviously. Innovation, creativity, the future. We are the present and also the future. Hope, yes, obviously. And yeah, keep it coming, youthful and useful. And yes, definitely. Energy, I can see in the chat as well. So yeah, okay, keep the comments coming in. So I think yes. Okay, I think okay, now to go further into our conversation for today, I would like to hand over the stage to my colleague Davila, who is from Fiji. And over to you, Davila.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So thank you, Susmita, for introducing me and welcoming our members. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are tuning in from through Facebook or YouTube. Welcome to Unify. So, as Susmita has stated, my name is Davila Talimay Malaya, and I am actually the regional youth focal point for Oceania, and I will be your presenter for today as well. So, I'll give you a quick run through of our agenda, and that's basically what we'll be discussing today. So, first on the list, we have introduction to the team, we have what is Unify, the core objectives, the Water and Climate Youth Development Plan and Agenda, our communications channel, and the roles and responsibility. We'll also be discussing what's next, and we'll have a series of questions and answers. Next slide, please. All right, so these are basically our team members. First, we have Jan Kyrel Guillermo from the Philippines. He is our Youth Engagement Officer for the Water and Climate Coalition and WMO. Sorry. He is also, Unify is also his brainchild. So Unify basically started because of Jan. And onwards, we have Susmita Mishra from Nepal, our wonderful moderator. And she is the regional youth focal point for Central and South Asia. We also have Anjanette Bantiles, who's from Philippines, and she is the regional youth focal point for East and Southeast Asia. Both Susmita and Anjanette are also the interim global youth focal points for Unify. Um, We also have Peshang Hamakarim from Iraq. He is the regional youth focal point for North Africa and Western Asia. Alongside him is Malik Ramdan, who is from Tunisia. So they both are regional youth focal points for North Africa and Western Asia. We also have Zainab Zahid from Pakistan, and she works alongside with Susmita, and she is the regional youth focal point for Central and South Asia. We also have Brian Kakembo from Uganda and Titilayo Adebayo from Nigeria. They're both our regional youth focal points for Sub-Saharan Africa. And we have Zihan Swan from China. He is the regional youth focal point for East and Southeast Asia. Next slide, please. We also have Maria Mercedes Curi from Argentina, our regional youth focal point for Latin America and the Caribbean. Alongside with her is Ernesto Ojeda Canto, who is from Mexico, and he also represents Latin America and the Caribbean. We have Keziah Garzano from the United States. She is our finance and partnerships lead. And we have myself, as mentioned earlier, the regional youth focal point for Oceania. We have Jay Gaspar from Philippines. He is the communications coordinator. And we have Prakash Lama from Nepal, and he is the admin assistant and graphic designer. And lastly, we have Paulo De La Torre from Philippines, who is the graphic designer assistant. So if you see our communications channel, our social media platforms, this is basically the team that is behind it all. Next slide. All right. So this slide is basically discussing what is Unify and how it was formed. So we had the World Meteorological Organization and 11 other UN agencies and other private stakeholders. They had realized that in the race of the SDGs, SDG 6 for clean water and sanitation and SDG 13 climate action were actually lagging behind. So to pull them forward into the race, they had then forged forces and established the Water and Climate Coalition. So within the Water and Climate Coalition, the youth component had actually, in order to increase or have a greater youth representation, they had established UNIFY, the United International Federation for Youth on Water and Climate. Next slide, please. So Unify is a branding, and it basically represents two different initiatives. One is the movement, and the other is the festival. So when we're talking about the movement, first of all, what we want to hear is that Unify is not an organization, and it's actually a platform that brings together youth organizations to to forge forces and work together in the water and climate issues. Then we have the festival. So as we mentioned, Unify is United International Federation of Youth for Water and Climate, and the festival, in regards to the festival, it would be United International Festival for Water and Climate. So the festival is the official youth conference, sorry, that brings together youths from all different backgrounds. So whether or not you are from the water and climate sector, if you're contributing to this sector, you are invited to join this festival. Next, we have Unify achievements. So one of the achievements that Unify had during the previous year, last year, they had a joint endorsement with the United Nations Office of the Secretary General, Envoy on Youth, and basically it recognized and supports Unify. Unify is also recognized by the Major Group for Children and Youth as the official youth constituency. So Unify will also be a part of the UN processes and their upcoming activities. In April of last year, Unify was actually presented during the briefing on the UN 2023 Water Conference preparations. And here they also recognize Unify. Around June last year, Unify was actually present at the Dushanbe Water Process, and we were also the co-host for the Youth and Children Forum. Unify's Water and Climate Youth Development Plan agenda was also recognized as the official youth input at the UN 2023 Water Conference. All right, now we move on to our core objectives. These are basically the objectives that drives Unify's work. So first we have inclusive networking, platform for SDG and SDG 13 advocates. So we're basically not trying to create something new. We want to bring together what already exists and create a network around it. The next core objective is the global impact monitoring system. Basically, it's creating a directory of stakeholders working around SDG 6 and SDG 13, and to see how youths can get more involved. We also have proper representation of the youth sector and youth participation and involvement in the coalition's process. And our last core objective is youth constituency that forges partnerships to UN agencies, government, and private stakeholders. I'll hand over the floor back to Susmita.
Thank you so much, Davila. And well, that's a lot of information that you've given us and to our members right here. Maybe let's have a quick test right now. So, can we have the Mentimeter back, please? All right. So, as Davila has already mentioned, what does Unify stand for? I want you to drop in the chat what have you memorized so far from what Davila mentioned earlier. So drop it in the chat. You can either scan this QR code, or my colleague will be dropping the link to the Mentimeter in the chat box on all our social medias. So yeah, okay, the Mentimeter link is on. Now go and comment, what does Unify stand for? And yeah, let's see how many of you were really attentive as a good student and how many of you can get it correct. So yes, let's see. You can either scan this QR code, use this number, or join through the link in the chat. Can we also have the Mentimeter dashboard, please, so we can see if our members here have started putting in their climate water sector. Obviously that does not stand for Unify. Okay, United International Federation of Youth for Water and Climate. I see someone has been very attentive, and I can read in the chat. You can also, if you cannot access the Mentimeter, you can drop your comments in the chat. I can see United International Federation of Youth. I guess this is still incomplete. Oh, someone accidentally dropped the chat. Okay, I see. Maybe it was an attempt to copy it from our social media. Okay, United International Federation of Youth for Water and Climate. I see, compared to our first and second onboarding, we had a lot of mistaken answers to this question, and I can see that our members are really into memorizing the this full form for unify. Okay, okay, climate justice, funding, loss and damage. I believe this does not align to our question right here, but yeah, it obviously unify does work around all of these issues right here. Okay, thank you so much everybody for memorizing what Davila shared earlier. And yes, I would like to, I can see the comments coming in. And yes, the answers are being correct. So yes, let's, I think we can end it here. And I will give the floor back to Davila now. Davila, you're up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susmita. So we'll be moving forward on our presentation. So our next slide is the WCC pillars, our engagement pillars. So our pillars of engagement. We have 6 pillars of engagement. And so as members, it's important that you know how Unify operates. And the 6 pillars, as it states on the screen, we have the water and climate education, the pillar on global mobility, the pillar on governance, or a pillar on capacity building, one on active engagement, and the last pillar on resource mobilization. Here we have Unify's organization bubble. Um, we have the global movement, which includes institutions, organizations, and individuals within it. It's basically the entire youth sector. And we have national focal points. As of recent, there's been 30 national focal points that have been elected from 17 different countries. We also have the global focal points, as we mentioned earlier, which Smith and Anjanette are currently the interim global focal points. We have the WCC Secretariat and the regional focal points and global operations team. So I'll be discussing each of these um, uh, sections further on. So in regards to the global focal points, Unify will basically operate with 2 global focal points in each level. So within the convention, uh, global and regional. In regards to regional, there will be 2 per region and 1 national. In regards to the regional youth focal points, the regional youth focal points will be elected amongst the national focal points to communicate and aid collaboration at national level within their regions. And in regards to the national focal points, the 2 national focal points are elected at the country level by the active members amongst the national chapter. They will basically ensure localization of Unify's objective and be the primary validators of Unify accreditation process. So by default, so there will be at least 2 national points per country. By default, one of the national focal points will uh, be into the UN convention, the Unified Convention, sorry. In regards to the Unified Convention, the 2 global focal points are elected by Unified Convention and will engage with the high-level stakeholders, facilitate international gatherings, and propose adoption of relevant and inclusive changes at the global level. They serve as the direct point of contact to the Secretariat. For Global Operations Team, the team is composed of the 14 regional focal points, structured to lead and co-lead one of each pillar. This is the pillars of engagement that I have discussed earlier, based on their skills and expertise. They will ensure the operational requirements and be the final validators of the accreditation process. In regards to the Secretariat will be in charge of coordination, facilitation, and liaising with UN entities as well as the BCC Secretariat. All right, now we have the Water and Climate Youth Development Plan and Agenda. So I'll basically provide insights on how the survey was created and what it is exactly. So our team basically collected various inputs from different water and climate experts, from different reviews and scientific articles. With that, we came up with existing gaps and challenges that youths currently face on a local, national, and global level. The gaps and challenges were then placed into a Google form, and we collected inputs from youths across the world. From the responses, the policy team came up with 5 problem dimensions and possible solutions. And from these solutions, we had validation workshops, which basically brought together youth fro- um, from different areas around the world and to propose different PPPAs, which is different projects, policies, and um, activities. So then these PPAs, programs, project, policies, activities, these PPPAs will then be seen as the solutions towards the YDPA, and it will also feed into the UN 2023 conference. And we also have a monitoring and evaluation mechanism for the Water and Climate Youth Development Plan and Agenda. Next slide, please. All right, so unify in numbers. Currently, we have 4,500 plus members who are registered Unify members. And in regards to the YDPA, we have 4,500 plus respondents from 171 countries. Next slide, please. All right, our timeline. So this is the timeline from 2022 to 2023. So it starts from February 2022. Last year, we did contact mapping and data gathering. In April of 2022, there was data synthesis for the Water and Climate Youth Development Plan and Agenda. In June, we started lobbying to public and private stakeholders and also presented during the Dushanbe water process. And as mentioned earlier, that is when the YDPA was actually considered to be the official plan and agenda that will be fed into the UN 2023 Water Conference. In November of last year, we were at KOI in COP27, and we also presented the YDPA. We also had validation workshops that were at Dushanbe in June, and also another one in November at KOI. And in March 2023, we're looking forward to presenting the final YDPA outputs during the UN 2023 Water Conference. Next slide, please. And here we have our salient features, which are the internal rules and code of conduct. So this basically includes the focuses on safety. So as a registered member, if you know at the end of the form, there was a section where you needed to read the terms and conditions. So we hope that you've actually looked into those. When we talk about safety, we believe that we believe in having a safe working space, and safety is actually our first priority here in Unify. We also have our internal rules and code of conduct. So if you breach any of these rules, it will lead to termination of your membership. In regards to harassment, Unify actually has a zero policy on harassment. So like any other workplace, harassment is a big no. We also have intellectual property. As a member, you will get access to a lot of intellectual property for Unify, and ensuring that you use that property well and don't misuse it. That is another thing that we have. And also attendance. We also do take attendance. So we want to see how involved you are within Unify, and also taking attendance, you may even get some extra points in regards to your membership. Next slide, please. This slide basically is on meetings and procedures. So our meeting schedules will be on Let Us Meet, and schedule announcements will mainly be on our general channel in Slack. We'll also have minutes of meetings, so you'll have access to folders, and they'll even be pinned in our general channel. And here are the communications channels that we use. Um, we have our Slack channels, Teams, emails. That's how we're communicating with all of our members, and we will even be having a WhatsApp community shortly. So what's next? Okay, what's next? So next we'll have NFP elections, and these elections will take place a few days after this meeting. So just to give you a heads up, in order for your country to be eligible, you need to have a minimum number of 25 members per country. And in addition, when you are electing a member, it's important that that member gets, or not that member, but in total, whoever is elected, they get at least 13 votes for the country. And we also have the global operations team. So this is pillar specific. So the pillars that I've mentioned earlier, the pillars of engagement, the global operations team will be working under each of these pillars. And we'll also have volunteer positions that we'll be sending out later on in the year. So just stay tuned and follow your emails and your updates as well. Next slide, please. So here we have calendar of membership activities. It basically discusses when meetings will take place. So we have monthly membership updates every first Friday of every month. We have bi-weekly meetings between the global operations team and the pillars. We have bi-weekly meetings between national focal points and volunteers, and monthly meetings between secretariat and regional youth focal points. And lastly, there's also monthly meetings between regional youth focal points and the national focal point. Next slide. All right, now it's time for the questions and answers.
Hello there, Davila.
Hi, Sister
I'm back
Huda.
again. So yeah, to our dear members, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, please drop it in the chat, and we will be addressing your concerns right here, live, right now. So Davila, to begin with, I was going through the chat, and I've pointed out a few questions that our members have had dropped earlier. So Faya from Nigeria had concerns regarding re-elections because there were not enough members or votes for the candidates. So let's just give them a quick revision on the focal point guidelines. So yeah, so for the elections, as Jabila mentioned earlier, there should be minimum of 25 members from each country to be eligible to have a national focal point. And for the elections, there should at least be 13 minimum votes for each candidate to be a winner or to be elected as a national focal point. And also, I've noted down a similar question from Ioda. Uh, the query was regarding national focal point countries. So just to let our members know, yesterday we had our very first national focal point onboarding, and we have 30 national focal points from 17 countries. And for those countries who had the elections during our first elections, but you received an email saying some of the countries were not could not have a national focal point, also because there were they couldn't have the minimum votes for the elections. So we really, really would like to request you as early as now, because our team will be sending out, will be opening the second national focal point election form latest by tomorrow, right, Davila? And then you will receive the election form for nominations, and then there will be elections again. So before that, you can ask your friends, you can ask in your circle, and have at least 25 members registered from your country, so that your country is eligible to have a national focal point, and you can have a lot of benefits after having national focal points in your countries. And there was a query about East Africa not being represented. So I think that's how we've addressed it. Davila, can you help me go through the questions? So maybe we can take five questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Um,
Okay. Yeah. So Davila, I can see here there's a query on how to register. So our colleague from back end will drop the link to I will be dropping the link to join the membership. And I can see a question here. How could I know if we have an NFP in my country and how to participate in activities? So I believe we will be sending you a list of, and also our communications team will be sending out a list after our second elections. We'll be publishing a list of countries that do not have a national focal points yet. And also, Davila, can you give them an idea on how to join the WhatsApp and Slack group?
yes. We will be sending out, most likely we'll be sending out an email of each of the channels, so um, you'll be able to join those channels, whether WhatsApp, Slack, or even checking out the Trello for your tasks.
Yes, so there's a question that says, is there any form of unique identification for members? So for when you sign up for your membership, after your confirmation email, you will receive an email with a unique identification code. So the code is auto-generated and it is unique for each member. And we request all of our members to keep that code safe, because if we come up with any sort of opportunities or anything, that we will be asking you to register with your codes. And there may be some cases where we will also ask you to refer someone and they can use your reference code. So this is your unique identification number. And I see, let's see, Davila, if you can help me check if
Yeah.
there are any more questions.
Mm,
I see I'm trying to join as a member, but it seems to have a problem onboarding me. I guess so. The onboarding is right here. You're here in onboarding, and also to let you all know, we will be having our onboarding on 30th of each month. But this time we had to delay this. This onboarding was supposed to be on December, but obviously our dear members would be celebrating New Year Eve, so we didn't want to interrupt with that. And I guess, Davila, can you have a quick scan if we have more
yes.
questions?
Let me see. Name is.
Okay, I see. Okay, so for Mali, there is no country focal point yet. So we will be sending out our election forms or nomination forms by tomorrow. So yeah, if you have, also please be notified that you will receive the nomination form for your country only if there are 25 eligible members from your countries. So please share the word, share the membership link so you can have at least 25 members who can actively participate in the elections, who can nominate themselves, and please send nomination or election form and elect us again. So yes, we will be sending it out if your country has minimum 25 members and your country is eligible so far. So
I don't see any other.
yes, so I think we're what time the voting will begin. So yes, we will be all the details for the election will be sent out, circulated through emails, and we can send you the emails only if you are registered as a member of Unify. So please, if you are not registered yet, please register yourself as a member. Our colleagues will drop the um, link to the membership here. Okay, and if you'll have any queries regarding membership, you can write us an email at either info@unify.org or membership@unify.org. So yeah, maybe we can take this very last question and then we can end our call here today. I invited my organization volunteering team to register and become membership here in Unify. How can I now how many Ethiopian youth are registered? So yeah, we will if you receive your if you receive the nomination form tomorrow by tomorrow in your email, that will be country specific, you can know that. If not, our communications team will soon, after the second elections, they will soon have social media post on how many countries are yet to have enough members that are eligible, or the countries that are eligible to have national focal point elections. So yes, I think that would be our last question for today. You can join us later at 7 p.m. for our second onboarding for today. Davila, did I miss anything?
And I just want to also add on in regards to the national focal points. So the last one, there were some ties that took place, so there'll be a re-election for those national focal points.
Obviously. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining us today. Have a very good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And we will see you soon later in the evening. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.
capacity building of young people.
So UNIFY stands for the United International Federation of Youth for Water and Grants. So basically, we are a platform that unites all young voices around water, and we are working really hard to bring all these voices to the UN 2023 Water Conference next